In the beginning, God created the universe. He made everything from nothing because He wanted to. God created all living things. Then He created man in His own image. God breathed the breath of life into man and invited man to know Him. God placed man in a beautiful garden and it was really good. But one day, Satan, the evil serpent, tricked man into doubting God's intentions, and man rebelled against God. Man suffered the consequences of his choice. He was sent out of the garden and away from God's presence. God told man to reproduce, live in community, and enjoy the world He had created. Man spread out and filled the earth.
Many years later, God appeared to a man named Abraham. God told Abraham that he was going to be the ancestor of a great nation of special people who know God and worship Him. And that's what happened. Then one day, God chose a man named Moses to lead the nation to a special place. On the way, God gave His people a set of 10 laws for happy living. These 10 laws help the people know right from wrong so they would have a good life and a good relationship with God.
When God's special people arrived in their special place, they became a great nation. A shepherd boy named David killed a giant and became the king. David's son, Solomon, became an even wealthier and more powerful king. God blessed His people, but they became too comfortable. They turned away from their God and they worshiped other things. God sent men, called prophets, to warn His people that they were doing wrong and tell them that He loved them, but they wouldn't listen. Finally, other nations conquered God's people and destroyed their land.
Then one day, God sent a very special messenger. He sent Himself. God chose to become human so that all people would really know how much He loved them and understand why He had created them. God chose to be born in His people's special land, which at the time was under control of the Roman Empire. God chose to be born to a young lady who was one of His special people. God became a God-man named Jesus. He was poor, humble, loving, and good. Jesus grew up among God's special people in their special land. When Jesus became an adult, He told people how much God really loved them and how important they were to Him. Jesus did amazing things to help people and know that He really was the God-man.
But once again, Satan, the evil serpent, tricked man into doubting God's intentions. They turned into a rowdy mob and convinced the Romans to beat Jesus and nail him on a cross until he died. Some people who believed Jesus was really the God-man took his body and buried it in a tomb. Everyone thought that was the end of it. But a few days later, Jesus came back to life and told people that God's plan for them was eternal. He helped them understand that his death was a good thing because it had paid the penalty for all their sins. Jesus told them to depend on his power to change them and make them good, rather than their ability to obey the 10 laws for happy living.
Many people believed what Jesus said and trusted in him. They began to tell other people about how Jesus was changing their lives. They met together to worship God and encouraged each other to keep trusting in Jesus. More and more people began to trust in Jesus, and now, almost 2,000 years later, people all over the world are followers of the Jesus way. These people try to live lives like Jesus lived by letting God's Spirit control them. Jesus promised that one day he would come back and take them to live with God for eternity. And when that happens, we'll understand everything else.